My name is Susan Kytzia. I'm very happy to present our research project. My co-project leader is Alexander Scheidecker, whom you've already seen today, because he's the only mathematician in the room, so you have all seen him standing up as a lonely person when being asked for that background. You may ask yourself why we need a mathematician. I try to give an answer to this question. What I asked myself listening to the first presentations was, why aren't we in the circular economy block? Because a lot of what we have seen or we have heard is very similar to what we are doing. But the answer is because we didn't call our project, or we didn't put it into this block ourselves by naming it a circular economy project. Why didn't we do this? We think circular economy is not a goal by itself. And if you look at our case study, which you see very clearly on this slide, you can ask yourself, why don't we just, or what is wrong with a linear economy in this case? I mean, you can just dig out stones out of the ground and build buildings or other structures, then you demolish it and you give it back to nature. This has been done for centuries, so where's the problem? Why do we need a circular economy approach? I want to answer this by giving this, or by showing you this slide. The problem, or the problem we are addressing is the problem that we are living in a very densely populated country. We've already heard this today as well. And we have a building stock which is coming to age. I think we're going to hear more about this in the following presentation. So we have, on the one hand side, we have a problem with space for extraction of those stones and space for deposition of those stones. And in this case, we have a question of resource regimes. I already heard this term by Roland, who has also this issue in his project. It's a resource regime question for natural resources. The other thing is, and this is the positive news from this slide, that we have the possibility to establish a circular economy in this case, because when our building stock is coming to age, there's a lot of material coming out of it. And this addresses the question over the concept of urban mining, which is also behind our research project, not only the concept of circular economy. So if we do it in a right way, we can use this demolished building stock to substitute virgin gravel, and in a densely populated country as Switzerland, we can save landscape and we can save land for agriculture. So that's basically our starting point. What we have observed in the last decades is that construction companies are already adapting to this situation, especially in the canton of Zurich, where we have this problem of density. We have seen a development of new business models, a business model moving from the traditional model using primary resources to a new model using demolished concrete or demolished stones to recycle or to build new construction materials. This has been triggered by different public policies in waste management, but also in public procurement. And we are very interested in this interaction between the policy development and the adaptation of business strategies. And that explains the term we are using for as title of our project, the co-evolution. We think both are developing in line with each other. So the basic idea is we take these business models, which can be favorable or not favorable for sustainable development, for the circular economy. We ask ourselves what triggers the success of these business models, and as a third question, we say, is it positive or is it negative? As I said in the beginning, we don't think that circular economy by itself is a name by itself. So we really have to make some statement of whether we're moving into the right direction or not. The research questions you see here are very similar to what Volker has presented, and I think also Roland is going into the right direction. It's the question of what drives changes, what drives the transition process, and is it driven into the right direction? What is different now is our research approach. Our research approach is based on a coupling of two different models, and that's where the mathematician is coming into. He is in charge of this system dynamic model you see here. We make an attempt to model the development of economic and social technical systems on a quantity-based model, which is going to be a challenge, and I'm very curious of how this is going to develop. The other type of model is something you've already seen. That's the material flow modeling. What's different to what you've seen already, we are not basing this on technical processes, but on organizational, institutional processes. So each process in this model represents some kind of organization, some kind of company, some kind of business model. And we're also trying to assess the value added and the turnover and costs of all these processes, because it has to be meaningful towards the question of how business models function and whether they are successful and not. How do we couple these two models? From my experience, it's a big challenge to do this. And to do this, we have established, or we want to establish, a boundary process linking those two models. And as time is limited, I just want to say one thing, which is important to me. What we try to do is to have two PhD theses on the disciplinary edges of this process and the assessment model, and on the co-evolution model. And the boundary process itself, which is trying to link these two models, is led by senior scientists, and that's where we put some additional co-funding into, because we think this can't be done by PhD students. They have to focus on their disciplinary research. And that's something I think we should discuss as well. Thank you.